Hello, everyone. Oh, excuse me. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Thanks for joining us for another edition of Silver Bullion Television SBTV. This is our weekly live stream. Thanks for being here. Wade Winger, Congress is there to pad their pockets. Wouldn't disagree with you, my friend. Seymour Rivers, how you doing? Yeah, Seymour, we're just gonna take a look at a few bills that are in Congress. Maybe some things make sense to us, maybe some things don't, but we'll be open for discussion and kind of see what it's about. Again, discuss it and see if any of it makes sense. And just time to have your input on these things. James Bell, how you doing? Harold B, Chris Primer, how you doing? Rod Panhard, how you guys doing? So, again, we'll be taking a look at a few bills in Congress, and then we're gonna go and before that, we'll go ahead and take a look at Mark Faber's recent interview. I hope you folks enjoyed it. It was really a good time with Mark there. I mean, he's brutally honest, which is what I think a lot of people love about him. And we'll be taking a look at a few items on Twitter as well, and then we'll be going through again the few of the bills through Congress, and this is kind of spurred from Representative Alex Mooney's bills to bring gold back into to play as far as backing the dollar or defining the dollar. So I'll be with you guys shortly. I hope everything is going well. Pablo Pina, aloha, how you doing? Always be funding. 49 Fine MV, Paul, how you guys doing? So I'll be with you shortly, getting a few more sips of coffee, and then we'll get this thing going. Opposite of progress is Congress. All right, I will be with you guys shortly. Hello again, everyone. Again, welcome to Silver Bullion Television SBTV. This is our weekly live stream. Thank you for joining us this Sunday evening if you're in the West, and this Monday morning. Monday morning here in Asia, here in Singapore, which is where we are located. If you are new, go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you and welcome you aboard. For the rest of you, as always, welcome aboard. Peggy Moore, how you doing? Carrie Ellen Wilder, how you doing? Yes, good morning from Singapore. Okay, Seymour Rivers, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Again, Dr. Faber, he's brutally honest, and I think that's something that a lot of people they actually crave for today. So thank you to Dr. Faber for that. And as always, you can find us on social media. Silverbullion.com.sg is our website. You can buy gold, you can buy silver, platinum, palladium. You can even sell it if you want to. You can store it here in Singapore with us. And more than anything, we do specialize in wealth protection. This is really what a lot of it is about today. If you're seeing these things going on, I'm pretty sure you understand you're going to have to find that store of wealth, something to protect those nice, crispy paper, fiat, unbacked monetary bills, I guess you could call them. Anyway, do take a look at our website, silverbullion.com.sg. Shoot us an email, sales at silverbullion.com.sg, and we'll see what we can do for you, or at least find out what we can do for you. Silver Bullion SG is where you can find us on Facebook. Silver Bullion PLPL for Private Limited is where you can find us on Twitter. Audio only versions of these interviews and live streams can be found on bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, or SBTV Spotify, and Crisis Tracker. If you have that Telegram app, go ahead and search one word, Crisis Tracker. And even if you don't have that app, go ahead and download it. It is a free app. There is a desktop version and a mobile version. And join this group, search out t.me and then excuse me, Crisis Tracker, one word. And as you guys know already, this is where Vincent and we go ahead and we will get down and dirty, jump through the weeds and find out, what things may matter to most of us, and find things that maybe you folks want to discuss. So again, these are things generally related to gold, silver, financial news, economic news. Sometimes you got to throw in political in the mix because it seems nowadays everything is political. But again, Crisis Tracker, one word. Do go ahead and join that group. Upcoming guest, Gerald. Gerald Celente from the Trends Journal. He's going to be on deck. He is the founder and director of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the weekly Trends Journal magazine. He is the author of the highly acclaimed and best-selling book Trend Tracking and also Trends 2000. So go ahead and please do subscribe, hit that bell so you can be notified when this interview comes out. Gerald Celente, I'm pretty sure there'll be a firework or two. And as always, we want to thank you. We want to give away this $10 Amazon gift card. If you want to go ahead and get it, be one of the first 5 to answer a question from a past interview correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. I believe this question is going to come from the recent Mark Faber interview. US winners are going to be given a link to download the gift card. Non US winners can ask Amazon to exchange that gift card if it's not usable in your country. And provide us your email during this live stream. No other messages necessary. Just go ahead and provide us an email. And Vincent will be here to help track the winners. And as he says, also please do join that crisis tracker group, t.me slash crisis tracker. So the more people we can get to join this group, the more diverse opinions we can have and hopefully make a better, more informed decision as to what we all need to do. So again, quick roll call check again. Mr. Nguyen, how you doing? Bill Wood, Tampa, checking in from the bunker. still same, still same gender. Hey, all right. That's important nowadays. You got to know who you are, right? I mean, you absolutely have to know who you are. Mr. Nguyen again. Hello, Richard Martin. Aloha. How you doing? Uh, yeah, we're doing it on Sunday nights in the West, Monday morning here in Asia. Peggy Moore, how you doing? Yes, again, hello, welcome to the live stream. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started with that question. Always be funding 49 again. Henry Carlos from California, how you doing? So the question comes from the Mark Faber interview. Hope you had a chance to watch it. If not, go ahead and take a look at it. Now, what he said, according to Mark Faber, Dr. Mark Faber, precious metals are at the present time blank compared to what can happen in terms of monetary and fiscal policies. Go ahead and take a shot. According to Dr. Mark Faber, he says precious metals are at the present time blank compared to what can happen in terms of monetary and fiscal policies. Take a shot. Go ahead and take a shot. Henry, how you doing? Again, Carlos Hayden from California. Pabar says undervalued. Rod Panhard says insurance, and I'm going to be looking for the exact word. It was just a few days ago. The interview came out, so I'm pretty sure we can hopefully all remember what happened a few days ago. Unless you're like me, 5 minutes is too long. You'll have to tell me all over again. Luke Farley, undervalued. Richard Martin, safe. Seymour Rivers, stable. Seppa J, how you doing, Seppa J? Insurance. Peggy Moore, cheap. Mr. Nguyen Limited, James Bell, safe, 49 fine, stable. So again, the question, precious metals are at the present time blank compared to what can happen in terms of monetary and fiscal policy. So I'll be looking for the exact word, hopefully, but if it's pretty close, we can go ahead and take that. Um, okay, so let me see here. I think that's about it. Let me just run through a couple more. Okay. So we have the five. We have the five. Inexpensive. We're gonna take inexpensive. We'll take undervalued, or we will even take cheap. We will even take cheap. So looking at that, we're gonna revisit that interview we had with Dr. Mark Faber and see if that is exactly what he said. For now, we have Pabar saying undervalued. We have Luke Farley saying undervalued. We have Peggy Moore saying cheap. We have Paul saying cheap. And we have Patrick Bateman saying undervalued. So those are the five that we're going to go with. And just to make sure, let's see if Dr. Faber did say inexpensive.
When I look at the conditions in the money market, in financial markets in general, and in the economy, I think that at the present time, precious metals actually are very inexpensive compared to what can still happen in terms of monetary policy and of fiscal policies. I mean, in England, they were fighting inflation like in the US and everywhere else. But then there was a minor problem in the gilt market, in the bond market. So what happens? Right away, the government, through its agent, the Bank of England, because government and central banks is one and the same, they're accomplices. So the Bank of England abandoned right away its fight against inflation, its battle against inflation, and printed again money to buy gilts to support the price. And that is what will happen also in the US. The moment they get into real trouble somewhere, they'll just buy again assets and support the markets.
All right. So Dr. Faber, he says precious metals are inexpensive compared to monetary and fiscal policies. Governments and central banks are one and the same. Remember now, the Fed was always saying, it's independent, or we were always told central banks were independent from governments. According to Dr. Faber, central banks and governments, one and the same. And the moment trouble in the economy appears, they will buy assets again. So, what are your thoughts on what Dr. Faber had to say? And so, again, the winners, we are looking at Pabar, undervalued. We are looking at Luke Farley, also says undervalued. We are looking at Peggy Moore, who says cheap. We are looking at Paul, who also said cheap, and Patrick Bateman, who said undervalued. So those will be the five winners. I'll play another clip from Dr. Faber and let me know your thoughts on this. Excuse me, especially the one about governments and central banks are one and the same. One more clip or two more clips from Dr. Faber.
And as I said and repeated for the last 20 years, people should own some gold. There are other things that go up more than gold, like AMC between 2018 and 2021, but then they also went down more than gold. If you look at the performance, look at the performance of gold 1999 to today. Was at less than 300, we're at 1600. Is it a disaster? No. Is it as good as Amazon? No. Is it as good as Apple? No. Is it as good as most European stocks? Yes. But people are greedy. They want to put everything into something and make 10% in a week. This is the frame of mind of people. They have no patience when they see something moving, and when they read it on Reddit, they all need to be involved in it. A few people, this many people have made money in cryptos. This many up to the ceiling have lost money in cryptos. It's an insider market.
Oh, yeah, you gotta love his laugh. Gotta love his laugh. So Dr. Mark Faber says, own some gold. People are greedy. All right. Which one of you out there is the greedy one that Dr. Faber is talking about? And cryptos are an insider market, is what he says. So curious to know what are your thoughts on this? And so again, Paul Bar, Luke Farley, Peggy Moore, Paul, Patrick Bateman, please email us at sbtv at silverbullying.com.sg so we can send you that Amazon gift card after the live stream. Let me take a look at a comment here. MV, I reject Faber's statement. Comparison is apples to oranges. Safe is a better answer. Well, I'm not one to disagree with Dr. Faber. He's a tough, smart guy. Besides, I love his laugh, so I'm gonna let him say whatever he wants and laugh as much as he wants. So many comments about that laugh of his, but he's when you get to know him, he's a really down to earth guy. I wish everyone had a chance to sit and talk with him. But let me know your thoughts on this. People are greedy. Let me know your thoughts and I'll play one more clip from Dr. Mark Faber.
The ECB is not following a monetary policy that makes sense. In fact, also in the US, if you look at the Fed fund rate, it is around 3% at the present time. And depending on the household and the conditions of each household, their rate of inflation would be between 7, 8% to maybe 15%. The Fed fund rate is still very negative, inflation adjusted or in real terms. So all I'm saying is, if you have an ECB, and even worse is actually the Bank of Japan, that have inflationary pressures, but they keep artificially interest rates low, the currency will collapse, okay? And this has also happened.
All right, Dr. Faber laying it out. The currency will collapse. Do you think we're seeing that already? Do you think we're seeing the beginnings of it, or we're somewhere along the way with this thing actually happening? ECB, European Central Bank monetary policy, not making sense, according to Dr. Faber. Fed funds rate still very negative, when you look at the yields, or the interest that they're suggesting with the Fed funds rate compared to the inflation rate, still very negative. So, what are your thoughts on these? I'll be looking forward to seeing them, and I want to play one clip from the past Alistair McLeod interview. And he said something pretty interesting, things that I want to share with you and also get your thoughts on.
Government currencies always fail eventually. So the only thing you can do, I think, is to protect yourself against this uncertainty by getting some of your wealth, some of your assets out of the fiat currency system entirely and just put it into gold. I mean, that's about the only thing you can do. Gold and silver. If you look at history, 5,000 years, we know that gold has been money. It's the money of the people. Silver is the money of the people. In the absence of fiat currencies, silver is going to come back. Gold is going to come back. It always has in the past. All I can say is that it looks to me the symptoms of where we are in terms of this currency game, which I've now called the funny money game, which is really what it is that we're coming towards an end of it. And under those circumstances, there is only one thing you can do, and that is physical precious metals.
All right, so Alistair McLeod, currencies always eventually fail. And that chimes in with exactly what Dr. Faber was saying. Protect yourself with some silver and gold, which is what we do talk about here. Gold and silver are money. Gold and silver are money. I think a lot of us already, we do know this. Some of us were trying to wrap our head around that and figure it out, that gold and silver are money. Vincent chiming in, Joshua Porter, what if your wealth is preserved but fiat savers' purchasing power is decimated? Who can come out to consume then? All right, so Vincent, he's on it. He's taking a look at all these comments as well. So Vincent, I do appreciate that. Moving forward, Gerald Talente, Trends Journal. We'll take a look at his weekly message. A couple articles, paycheck to paycheck, and PayPal may not be your pal after all. All right, Gerald's weekly message. The Ukraine war continues to escalate. Last Saturday, major sections of the Kerch Strait Bridge linking Russia to Crimea has denied the charge, but top Kyiv officials celebrated the explosions on social media. In fact, the Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, the nation's intelligence agency, shared a photo of the bombed out bridge and wrote, "The sun is rising. The sun is rising. The bridge is burning beautifully." That's pretty odd. But in response to the bridge bombing, Russian President Mr. P called it an act of you know what. And Moscow has retaliated by launching airstrikes on Kyiv, destroying power plants and civilian infrastructure. Uh, Mohandas Gandhi is often cited for saying, "An eye for an eye will leave everyone blind." So why is there no peace on earth? Why are there why are the religious leaders silent? Is there no love for your fellow man? According to Gerald Salente. Paycheck to paycheck, 6 in 10 Americans live from one paycheck to the next, slightly more than the 55% who reported a hand to mouth existence 12 months earlier, according to a new survey by Lending Club, an online loan company. Even among six-figure earners, 45% report living paycheck to paycheck, up 38% from a year previous. More consumers are continuing to lose their financial stability, according to Mr. Nair from what he told CNBC in an interview. And U.S. inflation ran at 8.3% in August year on year, while purchasing power declined 2.8% over the same period, according to CNBC. The number of Americans who feel financially insecure has reached 71%. 71% feel financially insecure, according to a Bank of America survey, with half falling deeper into debt. And many are attempting to maintain their habitual lifestyle using credit cards, steadily increasing their balances, according to CNBC. This can have detrimental consequences for someone who pays the minimum amount on their credit card every month. The U.S. Federal Reserve has raised its key interest rate by 3/4 of a point in June, July, and September, which raises the cost of borrowing and speeds a household debt spiraling for those unwilling or unable to cut back on their spending. We got to live within our means. PayPal, not your pal. This is I'm not sure what to make of this one, guys. Last week, PayPal, an online service for making and receiving payments, announced that at PayPal's sole discretion, their sole discretion, $2,500 would be seized from accounts of those PayPal, if from those that PayPal decided were guilty of spreading misinformation. And misinformation is whatever some speech control office at PayPal doesn't like or dissent from official narratives. In other words, PayPal announced a policy of thought control as described in George Orwell's 1984. And moreover, 2,500 would be seized for each bit of misinformation, apparently even for errors resulting from being misinformed or from misunderstanding. If an actual account holder spreads misinformation twice, 5,000 is seized. 10 bits of misinformation cost the account holder 25,000. So think about this for a moment. If PayPal can seize 2,500 from your account because some woke freak in PayPal's thought control police force finds your opinion offensive, so can your bank, your 401k, your IRA, your investment account, your credit card company can bill you 2,500 for each disapproved statement and turn your account over to bill collectors when you don't pay. Maybe your car and house will be seized once central banks impose digital money on their insouciant populations. People can be robbed at will by every approved party for every imaginable offense. Wow. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Our weekly inflation yields update. But let me take a look at some of the comments here. I closed my PayPal account yesterday. Joshua Porter canceled my PayPal last week. Harold B. Let's see. Always be funding. PayPal has ditched that for now. You know what? I hope so. But if you notice the trend, we see politicians, they fly a kite, they stick it out there in the wind, and they see what happens with reactions. And corporations, I guess like PayPal. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. They're starting to do the same. They'll fly that kite, see which way the winds blow, see how you and I react. Let's see. Secondhand Horizon. Yeah, why not? Why not just take it all? Why just 2,500? Seymour Rivers. I quit eBay and PayPal. All right. So again, always interested to see what you folks think, and very, very interesting. I have my own opinion on this. I I really want to dig into this more, and it for me, I just see it as right now, same like governments and politicians. You're going to see corporations fly some kites. They want to see again which way the wind blows, which way the sentiment blows, and how people feel. Anyway, enough of my yapping here. Time for a weekly inflation yields update. CPI is the consumer price index. It measures inflation. You see that CPI number to the top left. This was in January. Yield curve below shows the duration and interest rate of bonds. Key points about the yield curve: inclining to the right. Hey, expectations are good. Everything is dandy. Flat, economic optimism is falling, and inverted indicates a recession. Some will even say a bear market. So here we go, starting from January. All right, so go ahead and take a look at it. I'll have a cup of coffee and let you folks take a look at this. All right, so really when it came May, June, July, we really can see these yields getting pushed up. We start to see it flatten in the middle. You start to see the left hand side of the yield curve really being pushed up as well. So we head into September, and then we're going to come over into October. I even had to move the October text upwards because these yields are getting pretty high. So you can see that inversion. Just take a look at 1 year, 2 year, 3, 5, 7. Pretty obvious. It's inverted there. You take a look at a 30-year, all the way at the right-hand side, 3.99% is the yield. You take a look at a 6-month, 4.31 is the yield. So you're getting more yield on a 6-month than 30-year. That's not good. And 3-month creeping up at 3.81 compared to that 30-year yield of 3.99. So again, this is what they're talking about, a visual representation of when they say the yield curve is inverting. Still reading your comments about PayPal. Amazing. It's amazing. And not in a good way. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at silverbullion.com.sg, our website, see what's going on there. Let me refresh this page and take a look at the silver price. Up, it is up 18.48. Gold is up 16.51.99 this morning here in Asia. So both metals are up. Platinum is up as well. Let me see what we got going on in the shop. Let me come back to here. 1,000 ounce LBMA bars, 55 cents per ounce over spot. That is a good deal. October promo while supplies last. Royal Canadian Mint 100 ounce bars, $2.35 per ounce over spot. Metal ore 100 gram gold cast bars, $38 per ounce over spot. So those are two good things. Let me take a quick look at the silver to gold ratio, 89.4. So we can say 89.90 around there. And you folks know what this basically means is you need about 90 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold price wise. This is by price. And so what this says is it tells us anytime this ratio is over 80 that silver is definitely undervalued to gold. It's an indicator that between the two metals, you may want to purchase silver compared to gold, because you can see this ratio here over time. It comes down, it comes down, it goes up. It comes down, it goes up. So you can see at times here where we're at, the ratio went down to 19. You can see here it was down to 39. So imagine if you buy at the time when the ratio is 100 to 1, and then imagine if the ratio drops to 50 to 1, you can go ahead and flip those 100 ounces of silver into 2 ounces of gold. So this is what some people do. 80 is the key number for them. If it's above 80, they're buying silver. And we actually do see people who will sell their gold to go ahead and get silver, and with the hopes of this ratio dropping once again and then accumulating more gold on top of that. So again, with these promos, especially with the 1,000 ounce LDMA bars, we do have 3 in the shop. Bring a trolley. I was in the shop this weekend. We had some people buying monster boxes, and they were stuffing them in backpacks and trying to lug it out. Everybody seemed to have a bit of a hunchback trying to carry those monster boxes out. But definitely bring a trolley if you're getting one of these 1,000 ounce bars. If you want to get them and store it with us, or if you already have an account, or if you don't, you need to sign up for an account. 6 types of accounts: personal, joint, trust, joint account with the minor, business, and retirement accounts. Guys, can't stress this one enough. Retirement account, if you do have one, and you have thoughts about a precious metals IRA, maybe you want to know about it a little bit more about it. Maybe you want to know how you can start it. Just shoot us an email, sales@silverbullion.com.sg. We'll give you the information you need to know because, at least for now, right now, and this isn't financial advice, uh, keeping your retirement in fiat, when we had Faber and Alistair McLeod, many other people telling us currencies, they're not going to be doing too well. Even the word collapse is used. You may not want to keep your retirement your retirement in fiat. You may want to put it into a store of wealth. Again, it's your retirement. If you're up in age, you may not have time to recover. Should anything go wrong, shoot us an email. We will help you and point you in the right direction. Sales@silverbullion.com.sg. Other than that, a personal account is one of the more popular ones. It's a simple one to open up. We just need some basic information and an ID. And then, again, basic information to fill out here on this application. And we'll go ahead and process it. And this always helps us out. How did you find out about us? Go ahead and put in SBTV. That helps us, and we really do appreciate that a lot. Okay, moving forward, excuse me about that. Couple things on, let's see, Twitter, some things that I bookmarked. Excuse me. Bank of International Settlement says physical gold held at home is free from political risk. That is true, but then also at the same time, if you are in a country that does have political risk, you may want to move it out into a safer jurisdiction for the time being. So let's see what else is out here. I've been seeing this. Have you guys been seeing this? TF Meadows is saying this one. He's calling him a child boy in his pajamas, wearing some different types of garments here, looking for attention. But we're seeing people, guys who are actually opening up milk containers in the supermarket, dumping out the milk. We're seeing people ruin, excuse me, ruin art, fine art. We're seeing, I guess, people like this, can we say gentleman? A gentleman here. Stop oil protesters in London where they're spraying. They have sprayed an Aston Martin showroom with paint in retaliation for the Home Secretary calling them thugs and vandals. You know what? I think my opinion, my opinion here, things like this, I don't even think they should be shown. To be truthful with you, I mean, like when you're watching a sport event and some guy comes running on the field, and the cameras don't show him. They don't show him because they know that this guy is trying to seek attention, so they don't give him that. In these cases, maybe if he just, who cares, stop showing them, or stop showing these things, maybe it'll calm down. But then again, they will just take a selfie anyway. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, let me move on here. Benny Johnson, I just drove through downtown LA. What I saw shocked me to the core. Third world conditions on every block, tent cities, filth, drugs, people digging through, living in and eating trash, broken lives everywhere. This is not America. Well, I guess it is America, but maybe it's not the one that we grew up in. Are you guys seeing this, or are you seeing this as well? This is I've been in Singapore for almost 20 years. I mean, of course, I still follow what's going on back home, but is it getting more and more rampant, more obvious? Let me know. I mean, curious to see what you say here. Uh, Let me see what else is out here. Gold Telegraph: United States Treasury is exploring a debt buyback when the country is 31 trillion in debt, and the Federal Reserve posted its first operating loss in years. This is where we are now. Even the central bank creating money out of nothing is at an operating loss. This one here, caught my attention, where an app has been developed where debtors can be tracked in real time. You can be tracked in real time. So I guess apparently what happens is, and I'll check into this a bit more. You're gonna find out if you're around people that owe money. So I don't know. Maybe this has something to do with scams nowadays, where there's a lot of scams going on. So you want to know who's in debt, but try to offer you a get rich quick scheme type of thing. I don't know, but reportedly they made an app to show people if they're standing near someone in debt. Part of an intrusive social credit policy. Yeah, I mean that we'll see how this one unfolds. That's interesting to say the least. Let's see. You won't see this reported on your nightly news. This is also interesting. Every American executive and engineer working in China's semiconductor manufacturing industry resigned yesterday, paralyzing the manufacturing overnight. One round of sanctions did more damage in all 4 years of performance than the sanctions under the other guy. So for the algo's sake, we will we won't say names here. Um, Atlanta Fed President Bostic traded 150 times during restricted blackout periods and claims he was unaware unaware of his disclosure obligations. Again, we are just seeing a separation, financial separation, I guess. I mean, the certain people can do things and certain people cannot. And Bob Coleman, Federal Reserve is on track to deliver an instant payment service called FedNow between May and July 2023. Apparently, it is not a central bank digital currency. And from what I understand, they're saying that this may even replace the need for a central bank digital currency. So let's keep an eye. Let's all keep an eye on this one. And I just want to get one more bit of news here. Let me see if I can find it. Um, yeah, well, it's okay. It's okay. We'll stop that for now and head on to the topic of the day. Bills in Congress. What are politicians up to? All right, so let me take a look at a few comments before we get rolling on this. The MiG 26, not quite that bad, but I have seen a few tent cities under the bridges and big cities. Okay, MiG 26, he's seeing some of these things. Let me see what else is out there. Uh, yeah, I saw that Van Gogh protest with fossil fuels where they actually painted over painted over Van Gogh. They sprayed some stuff over the paintings that I think it was in a museum or something. Let's see. Patrick Bateman. People in LA voted for this. Mm, okay. You know that eh, I don't know what to say. I mean, voting you man, I don't know what to say. I'm not going to disagree with that. But that's a fair comment. That is a fair comment. Um, let's see what else is out there. That's a problem with pandering, Mr. Bateman. I mean, when politicians pander, people get a 3 day solution, to get through 3 days, and then for the rest of the 365 days, they're having a tough time. Tough time. Rolf Steiner, it's Weimar America. Okay, I'm laughing because I may not be when all these things really unfold. So I'll have a little chuckle now, taking the cue from Dr. Faber. Okay, so anyway, next up, some bills in Congress. What are politicians doing? And again, well, here we go. What's the bill?
I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee.
All right, so I'll stop it there before we get those YouTube guys upset. A lot of these folks remember that it came from a Saturday morning. When it was Saturday morning, we're watching cartoons and we see this thing called Schoolhouse Rock. Come on, and they try to teach us things about government or educational materials, and that was one of them where they talk about bills, how bills become laws. So how this all came about was I think all of us have pretty much seen Representative Alex Mooney from West Virginia. He introduced, or actually reintroduced, because he does this all the time. He introduces these bills before Congress that pertains to things like gold, sound money, fiscal responsibility. So this prompted me to go ahead and take a look at a few bills before Congress that pertain to gold, sound money, crypto, and even CBDCs. And so what I want to do is we'll take a look at a few of these bills, how they're doing, and really in particular, if it has congressional support, constituent support, and your support, or no support, maybe, or if it's just straight up loony, because frankly speaking, a lot of them, they're kind of loony nowadays. So the floor is yours. Feel free to comment as we go ahead and take a look at these bills, and we'll find out if it's a good bill, if it's a bad bill, and why. So go ahead and let me share a screen here. This kind of also started off where Dr. Lawrence Reed from FEE, he put an article out about how sound money won the Battle of Yorktown and saved the American Revolution. Again, key word here was sound money. Sound Money. So this came out October 15th, where he said 241 years ago this week, Sound Money helped save the day during the critical Battle of Yorktown. And really, because as Dr. Reed even noticed earlier this month, Congressman Alex Mooney of West Virginia introduced the Gold Standard Restoration Act. If enacted into law, it would require public disclosure of the federal government's gold holdings and eventually define the dollar as a weight of gold. For the moment, the bill's chances of passage are as nil gets. Unfortunately, it is nil as nil gets. The sound money, whether it's gold or silver or paper that is backed by one or both metals, may not acquire a sizable constituency again until a monetary disaster demands it. And that's a sad commentary on the general state of economic knowledge. In the meantime, we can at least hope that Mr. Mooney's bill may stimulate a long overdue discussion. All right, so here we go. House Resolution 9157 to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. Now, unfortunately, at the time when I did check, usually you click on text and it'll give you more of a description of what the bill is about, but there wasn't really much here except to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. So, what do you think about that? I mean, have the dollar used to be a certain amount of grains of silver before, a certain amount of weight of gold. So, what do you think about this? Defining the dollar as a fixed weight of gold and for other purposes. Is it a good bill? Is it a bad bill? What's your thoughts? I personally would love to see that come back into play. The reasons why we went off of that type of a gold standard was because there there were a lot of things going on. If you go back to, everybody wants to blame Nixon, but it was from, even Kennedy's time. He was asking Europe to help, pay for their own, to help pay for NATO, to help pay for their own defense. Nixon was asking the same. And then again, that was the time when US was involved in Vietnam War. So he had to weigh these two things where, I got to pay for this war, but then again, I need help from my friends. I need help from my NATO friends to help pay for things. And I guess they weren't helping all that much. Nixon had to go off the gold standard. And again, the dollar was the global reserve currency. In order for it to do all the things it could do, being tied to gold or being leashed to gold made it difficult. So they chose to go off that gold standard. But what do you think? Should we once again uh, define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold? Let me take a look at another one here. House Resolution 3526. So this is also coming from Representative Alex Mooney from West Virginia. Gold Reserve Transparency Act of, this is actually 2021, where he says to provide the first true audit of gold by the United States in more than 65 years and subsequent audits every 5 years. So what do you think of that? I mean, I guess straight away a lot of us are thinking, about the gold, the gold, the gold that is supposed to be in Fort Knox. Is it really there? Is it really there? Is it not there? So is this a good bill to try and get us to take a look at it and to be held to account if it's really there or not there? Let me take a look at a few comments here before we go on. Let's see. Um, let's see. Let's see. Uh, okay. Yeah, always be funding. In fact, yeah, let me show this. I support Representative Mooney, but I don't think any of his colleagues do. That's a great point because when you go and look at these things, this is the sequence where it's introduced, then it has to pass the House, it has to pass the Senate, it goes to the president, then it becomes law. That is the sequence. But when you look here, again, the summary of the bill, the text, which is what we read, actions, titles, amendments, co-sponsors. Nobody is sponsoring this bill with Representative Alex Mooney. And this is what happens every single time. This is why Dr. Lawrence Reed said the chance of this happening is nil. Co-sponsors zero. Let me go back to that other bill, the define of dollars, the fixed weight of gold. Co-sponsors zero. Nobody is helping Congressman Mooney to do these things that many of us hope can get done. So that's a great comment there. Always be funding. Okay, so let's move on. Another bill. Alexander Mooney again. Gold Reserve Transparency Act. I think this might be the same one. Let me see. Yeah, the gold audit. Okay, moving on. Oh, just the same one again. Gold Reserve Transparency Act. What's going on here? Okay, next one. Sorry about that. Stop Russian Gold Act of 2022. Okay, Stop Russian Gold Act of 2022. This is the House Resolution 7068 coming from Michigan Democrat Elisa Slotkin. Okay, Democrat, Michigan or Missouri? I think it's Michigan, right? Am I Mississippi? I'm not sure. I better take a look. Wow, I can't believe I forgot my abbreviations here. Um, okay, Michigan. Yes, correct, Michigan. Okay, so let me let me move. Let me go back. Um, okay, so she's introducing this Stop Russian Gold Act of 2022, and it is to prohibit United States persons from engaging in transactions with foreign persons that purchase or transact in gold from the Russian Federation. Again, to prohibit U.S. persons from engaging in transactions with foreign persons that purchase or transact in gold from the Russian Federation. So I guess it's basically known as the Stop Russian Government and Oligarchs from Limiting Democracy Act of 2022 or the Stop Russian Gold Act of 2022. So basically, they don't want this bill is to prohibit U.S. persons from engaging in transactions, basically with foreign persons or transacting gold from the Russian Federation. And probably this is in part because we know that Russia is taking in gold as form of payments, not the dollar, but it'll take in gold, it'll take in rubles. So I guess they're clamping down on the usage of gold. And again, Representative Elisa Slotkin expanding Trade Sanctions Act on Russia, House Resolution 8120. This is coming from Jimmy Panetta from California, and he introduced this back in June of this year. Expanding Trade Sanctions on Russia Act. So he wants to prohibit the importation of certain products of the Russian Federation. Mr. Panetta, let's see, introduced the following bill. Let me move on here. Um, so as I was reading it, I came across this where the products described in this paragraph are products classifiable under these headings. So, in digging a bit further, I'm trying to find out what are these headings. So let me copy this guy because it goes in line with the harmonized tariff schedule of these United States. So these are the things that they are looking to prohibit the importation of. So let me go ahead and copy that number here. So we can see what he's talking about as an example. So this one here is oil cake. Hang on, let me go back up. Well, I guess it's here. Oil cake and other solid residues, whether or not ground in the form of pellets resulting from the extraction of soybean oil. Now, I got no idea what the heck that is for. So I went ahead and looked at a few more, and I think it was this one here. I'm not sure. But so what are the things that are being prohibited? This is another one here, and it is unwrought bullion door and other. So this is the precious metals and even precious metals, things that are clad with precious metals. So remember we had this whole thing where the whole Russian gold where they're taking it off the LBMA market and these things. Well, this is it, or part of it, prohibiting unwrought bullion and dore. So even straight coming from the mines, which means refiners can't import it. and straight up bullion. So LBMA, they're kind of banning Russia from bringing their gold onto the LBMA, and it's something I think it'll come back, and it's going to strike us maybe a little bit harder than we realize. Let me just take a look at one more. These things were again prohibited. So let's see what this one is. Yeah, unwrought or in even powder form, grain and nuggets of the metal platinum. So even platinum is in there, grain and nugget form. So again, uh, they're really clamping down on a lot of these things. So I just want to know: is this a good bill, bad bill? What are your thoughts and why? So let me take a look at. Let's see here. Envy. Someone needs to add an amendment to an omnibus bill that totally deregulates gold. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what else is out here. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Rolf Steiner. It's a strong comment, but it's your opinion. So that's always a fair thing. NATO is just the USA empire's attack dog to attack Russia. Yeah, it's supposed to be something that was supposed to unify Europe and be an umbrella type of a protection for Europe. It wasn't supposed to expand. There were treaties for these things, and it did expand. And this is kind of sort of where it led to today. So that is the point there. That's the point there. Always be funding. Actually, agreed to audit our gold reserves. You know, I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, of course, I want to know if the gold is there as well, but what if it's not? Wh- What if the gold is not there? What if all the gold has been removed? It's been leased out, rehypothecated. Gold is gone. And well, I mean, what do you think would happen then? I mean, and then of course some other country would come in and say, "Hey, our currency is back with gold." I mean, where do you think the markets are going to shift over to? I mean, money is about trust. It's about trust in money. If you got that gold, you have trust. You have that trust in money. So if you don't have it, that could be a problem. So what do you think? Do you want it audited or no? Anyway, let me move on. Next bill here. Resolution expressing concern about the rise in illicit mining and trafficking of gold in Latin America and the pervasive problem that such mining poses for the security, stability, and environment of the region. This is a weird one. I mean, Latin America is always been under stress. They use dollars. A lot of the countries do use dollars. They've been on a lot of stress. They've been sanctioned, and so they're trying to find ways to get around the dollar. Some of it, has been gold, and so now there's a resolution where there is concern about illicit mining and trafficking gold in Latin America. So this comes from Senator Robert Menendez over in New Jersey. So he has concern. Let's see. He is saying during a 10-year period immediately preceding the date of enactment of this resolution, Latin America has witnessed an alarming increase in the illicit mining and trafficking of gold and other valuable materials or minerals. Whereas illicit gold mining is a significant challenge across Latin America, specifically in the Andean and Amazonian regions, where, according to the internationally recognized non governmental organization Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, Venezuela leads the region with approximately 90% of the gold extracted in that country being mined illicitly. So I think, what is illicitly? I mean, is it child workers? Is it a company that maybe isn't registered? How do you define illicit? And again, is it illicit in terms of the Venezuelan nation? Is it illicit as far as the way the U.S. sees it? So, what is it? What is it? And Colombia and Ecuador closely follow, with approximately 80% of the gold extracted in those countries being mined illicitly, and nearly 30% of the gold extracted in Bolivia and Peru is mined illicitly. So again, what defines illicit, and what does the U.S. or Congress have the right to reach into these countries and tell them what is legal and what is not legal? What say you? So let me take a look at a few comments here again. Um, let's see. Yeah, Mr. Newey, and Congress needs to get on board with sound money. The world is ready to turn to a commodity-based currency system. Um, Absolutely. Rolf Steiner, how can the USA adopt the gold standard when it sold all its gold? That is true. That's why they're calling for the audit. I I don't know. I think we should though. I think we should. We do need to know. Probably gold plated tungsten, if anything. Let's see. Fort Knox probably looks like Al Capone's vault by now. All right, you guys are good. Um, let's see. Ernest Blackmore, a while back, Jim Rickard said there's enough gold to return to the gold standard. If memory serves, he said 50K per ounce would be needed to cover probably a much higher price required now. Yeah, Rickards. I mean, if I remember correctly, also, he said it's basic math. You take all the money that's been created, and if it had to account to gold, then the gold price would have to rise. So I guess it's somewhere around that $50,000 mark, where that would need to be the price of gold to account for all of the money that was created. So there is, if there is to be some type of a gold backing, um, people, one half of the argument is there's not enough gold to back a currency, and the other half of the argument is there doesn't need to be enough gold. There just needs, we have to revalue gold. So that's two sides of the argument. We just need to revalue gold. So great comment there. See what else is out there. um okay. Some of these comments, okay, good stuff, good stuff. um Okay, let me move on to another bill here. Defending Americans from Authoritarian Digital Currencies Act. All right, we need to defend us, protect us from Authoritarian Digital Currencies Act. So what is this about? This was introduced by Senator Tom Cotton, a representative from Arizona. And what he says here is to prohibit the use of digital currency payment systems operated by the government of the People's Republic of China and for other purposes. All right, so let's take a little bit of more of a look here. Um, so they're talking about apps, where the definition of an app means software application or electronic service that may be run or directed by a user on a computer or mobile device. App stores, he's talking covered company. The term covered company means any person that owns or controls an app in the US. The term ECNY means the official digital currency electronic payment system operated by the government of the People's Republic of China. So getting back to that term covered company, which was, if they're operating from the US, covered company shall not support or enable transactions in ECNY on its app store within the United States, or carry or support any app in its app store within the US that supports or enables transactions in the ECNY. So, this is a little bit forward looking, but it's also a little bit looking at the present times. China, they're well into the app, the ECNY app. A lot of people tell us, currencies, they're still there, but they're being used less and less, and so the concern here is, if they're using less and less of the currency, then maybe it's easier for them to skirt by using a dollar. So I suppose Mr. Cotton is trying to head that off at the pass by saying, well, then you cannot use the ECNY. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my take on it, where he's trying to head things off at the pass. But this is, we're moving into financial economic warfare. I mean, it's, I guess we got to be honest here. Weaponizing of money. That's where we're at. Weaponizing of currencies. So this is something to watch. This bill coming out from Senator Cotton. So I'm looking forward to seeing your opinions on this one. Another bill to establish requirements or reporting requirements for people who use fiat currency backed stablecoins and for other purposes. So if you're using a fiat currency backed stablecoin, you are going to have to report, or it looks like they're going to create requirements where you're going to have to report. I'll kind of skip through this one. Um, Countering atrocities through Currency Accountability Act of 2022. So countering atrocities. All right. Representative Ken Buck from Colorado. This is what he says. Let's see. To amend Title 31 to ensure the U.S. currency market does not support I always have trouble pronouncing agree. Okay, that word, human rights violations. Okay, so what he wants to do is countering atrocities through Currency Accountability Act of 2022. So Congress finds the following: the U.S. dollar composes nearly of 2/3 of the world's currency reserves, with more than $1 trillion being owned by the government of China. So they are once again going after China one more time. It is the policy of the United States to advance freedom and human rights globally, a policy that is incompatible with that E word, human rights violations, and as such has a responsibility to ensure that the United States currency market does not complicitly support perpetrators of these abuses. Well, how about our central bank? How about we start with our own central bank, Mr. Representative from Colorado, Mr. Ken Buck? How about starting with our central bank? Now, in regions of the world where political, governmental, or other realities preclude humanitarian due diligence practices from ensuring the currency market of the U.S. is not interwoven with entities egregious human rights violations. Additional measures must be taken to separate the economy of the U.S. from these violations, as well as to apply pressure on relevant actors to uphold their humanitarian responsibilities. I have a tough time with this one because, I mean, as you folks know, we've talked about this before. Federal Reserve they'll throttle the economy with their two mandates of maximum employment, price stability. When they get maximum employment, you and I are at work, we're making a decent living, we're happy. But we spend a bit more, and then we start to see inflation go up, and then that word price stability comes in effect. Federal Reserve throttles the economy again and says, hey, we'll raise interest rates, but you may lose your job. Um, you know, you may have higher mortgage payments or whatever it is. I mean, that to me, that's sort of egregious. I mean, our own central bank is where's the it's kind of inhumane, or you want people to work, you want them to get ahead, and then if they get a little bit too far ahead, you're gonna pull the rug out from under them. So personally, I say start at home. I mean, we can't even get our own stuff right with the Federal Reserve. Our own central banks can't even get stuff right. So reaching out overseas, whether it's Venezuela or some other country, I mean, let's take care of the weeds in our own backyard. Let's have our own backyard looking pretty well before we try to uh, you know tell other people what to do. Just my opinion, but it is why a lot of the countries are de-dollarizing today. And again, you guys know me. I mean, I'm from the U.S. also, but I think we got to take care of our own things first. I mean, especially things like this. But anyway, moving on. Moving on. Let me take a look at your opinions here. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing, Ralph Steiner. U.S. wants to determine what is not illicit and what is illicit, and they're doing it in other countries, trying to tell them what is illicit, what is not illicit. And in fairness, we're getting the same issues with World Economic Forum, with IMF, all trying to tell sovereign countries what to do, and may not be a right thing, right? MV illicit according to who? Let's see what out there. What else is out there? Vincent chiming in. How does illicit gold mining compare with compare with money printing? Exactly. I mean, isn't all this money printing illicit? I mean, look at what it's doing to the economy, and I mean, you have economists saying, recovery, recovery, but I, I don't really think so. It's only a recovery because of the illicit money printing. A lot of people even say it's counterfeiting. It's they're counterfeiting, just throwing more money on top of money on top of money. Let's see what else is out there. Great comment, Vincent. Appreciate that. Uh, let's see. John, the Bills suck. Just get over it. The Bills suck. Okay. Uh, Indivisible Man, Tom Cotton thinks China is a state and he can regulate it. Yeah, I mean, you got to put yourself on wear the other shoe. I mean, do we want another? Sorry, when I say we, I mean, does the U.S. want another country telling it what to do? I mean, does it? Would people like it? So we gotta see both sides of the shoe here. Let's see. Um, okay, so let me move on here. Um, let's see. Okay, let me move forward. Okay, so good bill, bad bill. You you tell me. Another bill here. No Digital Dollar Act. All right, here we go. No Digital Dollar Act. Who is this? Senator James Langford, representative from Oklahoma. All right. So, what does he say? To amend the Federal Reserve Act to prohibit the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System from discontinuing Federal Reserve notes if a central bank digital currency is issued and for other purposes. So, again, this is an act to prohibit the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System from discontinuing Federal Reserve notes if a central bank digital currency is issued and for other purposes. So I read this, I could be wrong. I read it as he is trying to prohibit uh, going cashless. He still wants us to be able to have cash. So he's trying to prohibit Federal Reserve System from basically getting rid of Federal Reserve notes. Okay, so see if anything else is out here. Um, okay, so that was it. So he wants to prohibit that. Next bill, 21st Century Dollar Act. Ooh, dollars going into the future. All right, let's see what this is. Let's see. Uh, Jay French Hill from Arizona. He says or wants this bill requires the Department of the Treasury to establish a strategy to facilitate the position of the dollar as the primary global reserve currency. I guess he's not watching our live streams and interviews where everybody else kind of wants to get away from the uh, from the dollar as the global reserve currency. All right, we have to call him up and ask him to take a look at your comments and watch our program. So, anyway, Treasury must submit a report that includes steps taken to implement this strategy, legislative recommendations, and efforts by major foreign central banks to create an official digital currency and an evaluation of the role of the renminbi of the official currency of China in international payments and foreign exchange reserves. So, they're calling for another study. Basically, you keep studying and the world's going to move on. By the time you get your head out of your book and look up, the world is in a totally different place. But he wants to establish a strategy to facilitate the position of the dollar as the primary global reserve currency. So I guess this is either paper or digital. He wants to keep it as the global reserve currency. 21st Century Dollar Act. Okay, moving on. No CBDC Act. Senator Mike Lee from Utah. What is he saying? He wants to amend the Federal Reserve Act to limit the ability of Federal Reserve banks to issue central bank digital currency. So he wants to limit the ability here. See what he says out here. Uh, I guess we can read this. No Federal Reserve Bank, the board, the Secretary of the Treasury, or other agency or any entity directed to act on behalf of the Federal Reserve Bank, the board, secretary, or other agency may mint or issue a central bank digital currency directly to an individual. Okay, so may not, or you cannot, they can't mint or issue a central bank digital currency directly to an individual, including central bank digital currency issued to an individual through a custodial intermediary or a digital currency intermediary, offer related products or services directly to an individual, or maintain an account on behalf of an individual, including an account in a specially designated account at a digital currency intermediary or supervised commercial. No Federal Reserve Bank may hold digital currencies minted or issued by the United States government as assets or liabilities on their balance sheets, or use such digital currencies as well. Hey, maybe this is because the balance sheet is just so far out of whack. Now they're saying, or he's hoping to say that the Federal Reserve cannot put any digital currency issued by the United States government, which would be the Treasury, I suppose, as an asset or liability on their balance sheet. Okay, so maybe this is in preparation of again, we're in this bit of a currency crisis. Maybe they're going to move over from fiat to digital, and then they're trying to put a wall between what the Treasury does and what the Federal Reserve can do. If I'm reading that right, what do you think? What do you think? Hey, I could be wrong. I'm more interested to see what you folks think here. Let's see. Vincent chiming in. 495, apparently revaluing gold has been a considered option by lawmakers several times in the 20th century during economic upheavals. So it's not an unthinkable option. That is true. It's been on the table before. It's been on the floor. It's been introduced before as bills. Uh, we just need the will. Congress needs the will. Politicians need the will. But the thing is, if they do go ahead and back the dollar with gold, or define it in some way to gold or silver, then their party's over. We talked last week about globalization. Politicians are doing it too. If they want to get reelected, if they tax you for things, you're not going to vote for them. So they'll give it to you free. They'll even pander. They'll give you other things free to get those votes from you. And they know that if they bring gold or silver back into the monetary fray, they can't do that. So they will never have the will. Politicians will just simply never have the will. 495, new SS Social Security card coming out in November, connected to the digital dollar. Okay, first phase of US CBDCs. Interesting. I didn't know that. What else is out there? Let's see. Um, let's see. Okay, let me just go through the comments here. Sorry guys, I just want to keep up with what you guys are saying. Whoops. Let me go back. Let me go back here. Sorry about that. Okay, all right. Let me continue here. There's just a few more, no worries. So, a bill to amend the Federal Reserve Act to prohibit Federal Reserve banks from offering certain products or services directly to an individual. I think this is one was the Senate side, one was the House side. So this was coming from Senator Ted Cruz. Um, yeah, so this is the bill on the other side of Congress. So to amend Federal Reserve Act to prohibit the Federal Reserve Bank from offering certain products or services directly to an individual. Okay, so that's same bill more or less. No dollars for dictators. Hey, if you're a dictator, no more dollars for you. So all right. All right. So let's see what this is. Representative John Kennedy from Louisiana. Let's see. The bill imposes additional restrictions on the U.S. government's authority to vote on special drawing rights, or the SDR allocations, as the international or at the International Monetary Fund. Of course, the SDR is an international reserve asset maintained by the IMF based on contributions from IMF member countries. The SDRs may be exchanged between member countries and may also be exchanged for currencies. So, specifically, US representatives to the IMF may not vote for SDR allocations to a country if the president finds that the country or the country's government has committed genocide in the last 10 years or repeatedly supported international terrorism. So we'll see how far this bill goes. So apparently, uh, U.S. representatives to the IMF may not vote. They can't vote for SDR allocations to a country. So I guess, I'll read this as if a country needs some help from the IMF. IMF wants to give them SDRs. U.S. representatives to vote to issue SDRs to vote on if SDR should be issued to that country. They can't they can't vote on it if the SDRs going to that country has committed a few things that the US doesn't like. And one thing I want to show you about this before we move on, within the voting power of the IMF, uh, the US has much of the voting power. Let me see if it's here. Whenever they vote on something, let me see. Okay, so in order for amendments or reform executive board to enter in force, except okay, here this is it. You gotta have 85% of the fund's total voting power is required. Okay, if they're going to change anything, amend anything, 85%. Okay, so all of these countries vote. They all have an allocated number of a percentage uh, that their vote counts. I mean, if Antigua Barbuda vote, their vote counts as 0.03% of the total vote. But again, you need 85% for something to pass, or well, I guess you could say not pass. So 85%. So 85 from 100%, that leaves only 15%. Okay, so you can add all of these guys up, and no matter what you get when you come to the US, okay, when you come to the US has 16.74%. This means the whole world can vote on one thing and they all want it, and the US can come in and say no. They have 16.74% of the voting power. But according to IMF bylaws, you need 85% of the fund's voting power is required. So that means 15% is left, but the US has 16% of voting power. So they can pretty much control anything that's going to go through the IMF. So let me pull that out one more time. Well, this is something else, 17%. But anyway, just to say that, wow, a lot of power there. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Let me look at a few more comments here. I know this is running a bit late. I think there's only maybe one or two more bills. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's the thing, Ralph Steiner. Who determines illicit? Who determines hate? Who determines the rules in a rules-based world order? Who determines I should have read through this whole thing first. Who determines what a woman is? Well, all right. I mean, maybe men. I mean, if it's a man to be attracted to a woman, I mean, most of us, so we would kind of determine what a woman is, maybe. I mean, but then again, a woman, she'd want to determine what a man is. So men, we got to gird up the loins, as they say, and do what we need to do to be men. Tweety Bird, personally, I think our government sucks. Um, Tweety Bird, yeah, I mean, politicians are so disconnected from us, and I think pretty much in almost any country right now, um, I'd have to agree with that. Okay, let me take a look at a few more, and then we'll end it here. No Money Bail Act of 2021. I think this is the last one anyway. Representative Ted Lieu of California. He's often said some controversial things, and he's gonna say another one to discourage the use of payment of money as a condition of pretrial release in criminal cases and for other purposes. And I shook my head when I saw this. Discourage the use of payment of money as a condition of pretrial release. I mean, we're talking bonds, right? I mean, bails, people get bailed out. Uh, they commit a crime, let's say, or they're suspected of a crime, they go to jail, and if they can get bailed out, somebody bails them out. They pay for a bail bond to get that person out on bail, and he's kind of free until his trial dates. So according to Ted Lieu, though, he wants to discourage the use of payment of money as a condition of pretrial release, meaning, I suppose, getting bailed out. So he's trying to discourage money to bail out people. So I don't know. Let me see what's going on with this. He says Congress finds nearly 60% of the inmates in the jails in the US are pretrial detainees who have not been convicted of a crime, right? They didn't have their court date yet, so they're not convicted of a crime. An estimated 75% of whom have been charged with nonviolent crimes, so most of them are nonviolent crimes. But under the current bail system that use payment of money as a condition of pretrial release, bail, nearly 50% of the most dangerous pretrial detainees are released without supervision, according to the study by the Arnold Foundation. He goes on to say throughout the nation, those with money, those with money can buy their freedom, while poor defendants remain incarcerated awaiting trial. I'll just read up to here. Throughout the nation, those with money can buy their freedom. Sounds like he's talking about his own constituents, politicians, perhaps, big banks, perhaps. Those with money can buy their freedom. Wow. All right, Mr. Liu. All right. So, hey, so with some of these bills we went through, which ones are good, which ones are bad, why, what do you think? Um, let's see. Rolf Steiner again. At law, the truth is always a defense. At least it used to be. How true is that? I don't know whether truth is treason though. Now that's a tough thing. Um, as I say, truth is a liability. It's really beginning to be a liability. Truth is a liability, and all of these narrative truths, they are a lie ability. So that's kind of where we are now. So anyway, um, you know, what are the good bills? What are the bad bills, and why? Or maybe what other bills do you know about? So that'll wrap up the topic of the day. Just wanted to share a few things out there with you. You can see Congress, they are looking at things like CBDC. Some of them are trying to prevent the removal of cash. They're trying to, don't know, but again, these bills don't have much support a lot of times. Um, and again, uh, Congress, within the walls of Congress, they kind of reach throughout the world, telling countries what they can do and what they cannot do. And but let's, like I say, you take care of your own backyard. I mean, you got to take care of your own backyard first. It's why the founding fathers, they never wanted the U.S. to get involved in any um, foreign issues. Um, so again, what do you folks think here? Um, Going through these comments here, MV. So what do we do? Buy more gold and silver. It's a bit down in price. You can buy. That's tough one because unless you're really going to overhaul any parliament, any Congress, unless you're going to overhaul, what can you do? You gotta get everyone out, uh, put new people in. So how do you get everyone out? Well, things like term limits. I mean, it really is an odd thing where Congress, they can stand there forever, pretty much, politicians, but your president can only stand there for 4 years, maybe 8. So whatever ideas he has or he wants to try and push through, unless you play ball with these people who have been in there forever, you're never going to get it passed, or they can absolutely squash whatever you want to try to do because you'll be long gone. They'll still be there. They will still be there. And term limits. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the things. What else is out here? Yeah, MV buying gold and silver. It is fun. That's for sure. Um, let's see what else is out there. Let's see. All right. So maybe one guy needs to leave. We got to get that guy out of there. Bye bye. So we will ban that guy. Um, Hang on, let me just run through this again. Every now and then, guys, if you see anything, we're giving you a WhatsApp number, call Mr. Jones or whatever for investment to buy crypto or whatever. It's not us, okay? So don't make sure you understand that it's not us. We're never going to give you a WhatsApp number or anything like that to go ahead and buy something. There's a lot of fortunately scammers out there. Mr. Nui, in return to limited government, absolutely. Absolutely, that is true. Term limits or pitchforks. I got a sharpener. If you guys need help with them pitchforks, send them to me. I'm pretty good at sharpening things. So send the pitchforks. I'll sharpen them and then I'll send it back to you. Let's see what else is out there. Um, you guys are too good. Um, okay. All right. I guess you guys are doing fine. Let me just mention a few things here. Politicians everywhere. I don't know. To me, they're going to be loony. Some of them anyway. They're self-serving pretty much, and they're not really serving you or I. In any country on planet Earth, they are in self-serve mode, protectionist mode. They are in globalization mode, as we discussed last week, which is important. Maybe we all need to be in globalization mode. Uh, do the best we can for ourselves and our families. Will upcoming elections change anything? Will bills we need to restore sound money become law? Will we see arrogance and irresponsibility accelerate de-dollarization? And a lot of ways, it's what it seems like. I tell guys this, when I talk to them. Um, the U.S. and I'll say this because I am a U.S. citizen. We've been number one for so long. We've grown up knowing ourselves to be number one. But if you're honest with yourself, can we be number two? Could you live being number two? Would you accept being number two? Accept being number three? Would you accept being number four? That's a tough question because it seems this is where the world is going, where maybe we'll have a new number one, a new number two. So do growing up and always thinking you're number one can how do we accept if you're not number one anymore? Is it something that gets you angry? Is it something that, if you self reflect, it's something you can come to terms with? Is it something you will never give up? You will always be, number one. I'm just curious to know your thoughts on that. But will we continue to see arrogance and irresponsibility accelerate the dollarization? I mean, we have reached the point where governments and politicians, as we know them to be, they're gone. They're gone. This is why I say be a blessing. Be a blessing, not a burden, because you and I, we're going to need to depend on each other. And that's the truth. We're going to have to depend on each other, help each other, protect each other. So we all have to enlighten ourselves and gain another level of knowledge as to what's going on. We can't anymore. Something made me feel good, and that's it. I'll settle with that and not worry about anything else until I feel bad again, and then something else will make me feel good. And we got to get beyond that. I'll do my part, offering up suggestions, bringing thought provokers to you through interviews. For some of you, seeing that there are ways to protect your wealth and even protect them in a jurisdiction away from your local jurisdiction. And I'll show you what I mean.
I believe, like many people, gold and silver are stores of wealth. They could also be an investment instrument, but if you don't look at them like an investment instrument, if you look at them as stores of wealth, you'll note that they hold them very well. And then where have the stores of wealth typically been put? They've been put in areas where there's low risk or smaller risk of those countries being invaded and the gold being taken. So do I think it's wise? Yes, I think it's wise to have some gold and silver within hands reach, some gold and silver within cars reach, and then some gold and silver within no one's reach, right? With that, I believe that there are places then to store your gold and silver. Looking for places like you guys have that capability. Look for those companies that have that ability and use it. Same type of thing, right? Redundancy.
All right. So the point he made here is have some things within arm's reach. Have it around you. have it around you. Have some things within car's reach, if in case you need to get out of Dodge, and have some things in no one's reach. This is something people understand, and other people that don't quite see the need for it, and that's fine. You do what fits you, what fits your needs, and if a need for you is under when you understand these things, and you have the ability to maybe move some things offshore. We always talk about diversifying assets, but I think we're really in a day and age where we need to also diversify the location of our assets. So, if it's a new thing for you or something you consider, just go ahead and send us an email. We'll talk to you about it. The most important thing for us is helping people understand what's going on, and if we do have options that can help you, then we'll go ahead and help you through it. But more than that, we got to understand all what's going on. So let's be a blessing, uh be a blessing, not a burden. So that'll wrap up the commentary part. Let me just take a look at a few of your comments here. Hurricane again, Mr. Frohmeyer? No, you can't be having. I think you're in Europe, right? No hurricane. I mean, hurricane storm come in, meaning the crisis financial. Yeah, maybe. Um, let's see what else is out there. Uh, yeah. Madam Muppet. I almost was gonna throw your comment up there, but anyway, it's still a good comment. Um, Okay, so I guess we're okay. I mean, thanks for kind of sticking with me through all of these bills and everything going on. We got to know what's going on in Congress. So at least there are some guys who may be on your side. Help them out. If you can help them out. And for those that aren't on your side, well, you do what you can to hopefully install someone who is on your side. Elections are coming up. Take the time to do what you can do with that. But as always, be a blessing, not a burden. Um, Let me see where I'm at here. You gotta take care of each other, guys. Gold and silver are a couple things that can really store the value of our fiat, as we sad to say, but we're watching the fiat kind of go down all around us. So be a blessing, not a burden. We're all in this storm together. We're all in this hurricane together, typhoon together. And as I say, some of you guys have yachts. Some of you guys, like me, have canoes. But we're in it all together. We got to take care of each other during this time. So always, always, always saddle up for what's coming ahead, and silver up as well. Gerald Solente next week. So please do subscribe, hit that bell. And we'll see you guys next week. So one and all, take care. And I'll send out the gift cards to the winners after this. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week.